Hey guys, how are we doing? It's Chris Cataldo back with another episode of the Club Paradise podcast. Today I'm not doing an actual episode. The next episode is going to be so far gone once I get the outline together and start filming. It's really close to being done. Stay tuned for that. But today I really wanted to get into last week I went to the It's All a Blur tour for Drake, and I gotta say I'm just so extremely disappointed by the showing and the performance and everything that kind of went with it. And I just wanted to break that down for you guys today a little bit. It's going to be a short episode, but I figure I'd give you guys kind of my first impressions and what I was experiencing. First things first, we're based out of New York. We saw the show at MSG, Madison Square Garden, the most famous arena in the entire world. So, we're lucky we get to go there and be able to experience stuff at such a important venue. We know we're very lucky that in that way. That's always fun for us. We take the train in, a couple drinks, and then we go in, and in no time we're at Madison Square Garden at Penn Station, and that part of it's always great. We pretty much get there right when the show is quote unquote starting at 8 p.m. And we went around getting drinks or whatever. It took forever to get a drink because on our upper level we got upper deck seats. Upper level there's one bar or two bars for the entire section. It took us maybe like almost a half an hour, 20 minutes to get a drink, which is pretty pain in the butt. That's got nothing to do with Drake or the tour, but more like MSG. It's weird they didn't have more concession stands open. So out of the gate, just even before we get to the show, it's really weird that I thought, you look at the cover art for the tour itself in the title, It's All a Blur, and you see, him as a kid up to Wheelchair Jimmy into where he's getting into fame and, the faces as it's going across. And you think it's going to be more of like a chronology of his work. Like, I think that's for some reason how it was sold, and I just don't think that was really an accurate representation of what we were given. I was expecting, throwbacks, deep cut throwbacks, full performing in songs, and just a great Dynamite show. I mean, to me, he just really half-assed it in a lot of ways. And that would have been a great show, and unfortunately it wasn't. My next point being, this tour did not have to be with 21 Savage. I don't think it was necessary to any effect. I know they had just had the album, and it was good enough for, the public and for sales and all that. I know it did well, but there was nothing special about the joint album they did together, and I don't think anybody can really contest that. I didn't like the album. I haven't liked his last three albums personally. They've all been very whatever to me. I gave them the listen, I gave them the due diligence, and that wasn't for me. So, but to center the whole tour around this album, I thought was just weird, because it was, joint albums aren't good at the end of the day. Like, even the best joint albums, they're not like great pieces of work in my opinion. Even you look at like Holy Grail with Jay-Z and Kanye. It's a good enough album, but it's so hard to have equal playtime on an album, have it be impactful and good the way it needs to be. So I don't like joint albums to start with. So that was really not good for the album in its own right. But like, we didn't need to have 21, and if you look back before this show even happened, we saw a couple of shows where I think there was like 2 or 3 shows, maybe 2 shows where 21 Savage wasn't there. The Toronto show, he brought out J. Cole and did a bunch of songs with him, and then 21 wasn't there at all. I think there was another one that he wasn't there for because he was in Rolling Loud. So, and those were probably better shows. I mean, you can't have J. Cole come out and have it be compared to 21 Savage. That's ridiculous. I don't like 21 Savage. I don't think he's remarkable by any stretch. I don't like mumble rap. I want to be able to hear what the rapper's saying when they're singing and rapping. So for me, it's just not a good fit. Because to me, this tour was really a great opportunity to annihilate his back catalog, do like a greatest hits, and give us, some of the oldies. I mean, that's not too much to ask. I think he made 3 disappointing albums. I haven't liked anything since Scorpion. 2017 was 6 years ago, at the recording of this podcast. So it's like, you got to give me something to sink my teeth into at the end of the day. And the oldies are good. Like, you're one of the best selling artists of all time. It's your throwbacks that keep you alive. I mean, if you look at his streaming numbers, I'm sure it backs it up. So that's what I was dying for. I think a lot of people were looking for it. But truthfully, I don't think a lot of people at the concert were looking for it. And I'll get into that point in a minute. When we do I'm going to start with the good, then we'll go into the bad, but I'm gonna explain it a little bit after this. So the show did start at a good time. It was an 8:00 show. It was scheduled to be 8:00, and he was on the stage by 9:15, which I thought was pretty good. I've been at shows country concerts, some other concerts where they hose you and they come out 2 hours after their start time. So given everything that went into it, I don't think 9:15 is terrible, but I don't like this whole. They had an opener and everything. We'll get into the opener. Like, it was good, but it wasn't amazing. As far as the early song selection, so I'll run through the opener of the show. It was the songs that he picked were good. I'm not gonna say they weren't good, but I think there was some other strong candidates he could have went with. So he opened the show with "Look What You've Done," which I thought was amazing. I mean, for me, it's a top 5 song for him. And the way he did it with young Drake and the hologram and everything of him being on the stage, and they project Drake's face onto the kid's face through the screen. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool technology they used to do it. So I thought that was pretty fun. And it was like a 10-minute walkout for him. So the instrumental for "Look What You've Done" was playing just the entire time. So for me, that was great. I was getting emotional. I love it. I love emotional Drake. That's my bag with his content. So they do that. "Look What You Done" into Marvin's Room, "Say Something," "Shot for Me," "Can I," which I thought was a weird one to pepper in there. "Feel No Ways," "Jaded," "Jungle," "Over," "Headlines," "The Motto," "Hell Yeah Fucking Right," "Started From the Bottom," "Energy," "Know Yourself," "Nonstop." And then it goes into sicko mode and some of the old, newer stuff. But that part of the show, those 12 songs or 15 songs, he literally must have crushed through it in 25 minutes. 25, 30 minutes maybe, and he's talking in between. Girls are throwing their bras up. They're doing all that stupid stuff, just slowing the show down. And as far as the song choices, they're not bad. I thought "Say Something" was a good choice because that's really a deep throwback from whatever 2010 or 2011. And "Can I," like I said, weird pick. And then they jump right up to "Views" with "Feel No Ways," "Jaded," "Jungle." That was a little jumping out of order, which I thought was a little annoying. "Over" was a great pick. Marvin's Room was very good. Like, these are good songs, but I would have really liked to see I think I would have liked to see it a little bit of more of a variety over, there's nothing from "So Far Gone" here. There's nothing from, I'll say something I think is on "Thank Me Later," but there's nothing from "So Far Gone." I don't think there's anything here from, "Started From the Bottom" is off, "Nothing Was the Same," but I would have liked to see maybe some come through or something a little different. The choices, I think, weren't phenomenal. You could disagree with me. I mean, this is not a bad spread. The only song he did play in entirety was "Jungle," which I thought was weird because it's such a slow song. It's a phenomenal song. I love "Jungle," but I thought it was an interesting choice to make it the full play. So I appreciated it, but I think he could have done a little bit differently. I think the center stage setup is great for any show. It makes it so really there's no bad seats. Kind of like a hockey game, everyone's circling around. So he has a center stage set up underneath the giant TVs in the middle, and the actual stage itself was like LED panels, like screens and stuff. So it had a bunch of crazy kind of like colors and different things on it, images, a whole slew of things. So it kept the show very engaging with the light show that was going on with it as the regular lights. So that I did appreciate. That was pretty cool. Like I said, the "Look What You've Done" intro with his younger self, I thought was great. It was great. Before this tour, he hadn't played "Look What You've Done" live in about 12 years, from what I read, which is literally when "Take Care" came out. When that album came out, it's the last time he played it live on that tour, the Club Paradise tour. When represent the merch, we went and we bought merch off of eBay for this tour. Me and my fiance were both wearing Club Paradise gear, which is great because "Take Care" is my favorite album, so I wanted to rep that time. 2011, 2012 was a great time for music, and it was a great time for Drake. So that was awesome. So "Look What You've Done" was great. It was a great intro song. It really warmed everybody up. He brought his mom out for 2 shows after us. He brought his mom out for it. No, we were on the Sunday. On the Tuesday, he brought his mom out, which is pretty cool, at MSG. So the song is a tribute to his mom and everything she did and sacrificed for him. So you gotta appreciate it, which was pretty cool. But on our show, like I said, it was young Drake hands him the notebook and he raps out of it, and they map Drake's young face to his face through the technology they have through the projectors, which is really cool. It's a fun way to use the technology. And then about halfway through the show, a little less than halfway through the show, they did the crying face filter like you'd see on Snapchat, which I thought was hilarious. Like, everybody was laughing when it came on, and everybody enjoyed it. So for me, that was a fun little one, and it's pretty much what I looked like at the beginning because I was crying a little bit during "Look What You've Done" because it's emotional time. So you can compare it to, we went to the show in 2017, where it was Drake and Migos doing I think it was a Scorpion tour. That was a completely different show. If you look up the set list for that, and it was a lot of Migos, which I don't care for Migos at all. And he just played everything off of the new album. He didn't give us any throwbacks. So really, I should be grateful for what we got. But they also didn't market it. He didn't market that show as like It's All a Blur kind of throwback tour. So it's a little bit different. So that's all the good things I thought about the show. There's really not that many of them, unfortunately. Let's get into my bad things. This list is kind of long. This is not a Drake thing. This is more of like a Ticketmaster ticket prices thing. I mean, the tickets were so much money. I mean, they got to get some legislation going about what the hell is going on with concert tickets, because it's just so much money. It's so, like, we paid, I mean, close to $400 a ticket to go see this show. And we were upper deck. Like, we were on this portion of MSG. It's called the Chase Bridge, where it's even with like the nosebleeds of MSG, but it's like set forward, and it's meant for like sports writers to sit up there for when like basketball games are going on. But they sell them as regular, seats when concerts come up. So, we paid, it's the most I've ever paid for a concert ticket. I've never even thought about paying that much for a concert ticket. I mean, this with the Taylor Swift thing, it's ridiculous. Like, people are paying, people that are on the floor seats paying thousands of dollars. Lower bowl, they're paying $500, $600, $800 for seats. I'm like, this is not what concerts are about. This shouldn't be happening. I'll back it till the day is long. Give me a petition, I'll sign it. Like, this is ridiculous. Tickets should not cost this much. That's all I'll say about that. What's kind of annoying now, a couple of shows after the show I went to, when he went to Philly, he started doing this, which he went right after New York, he went to Philly. He started changing the closing song. He's been doing Teenage Fever. He did the first Different instead of Legend. I love Teenage Fever. I'm glad he didn't play it at my show, because I left halfway through. I didn't make it to the end of the show, so I would have been upset if I missed Teenage Fever. But I think it's that's a good way to keep people there. Maybe it's a problem. Maybe people are leaving a lot. Maybe people are doing what I did and leaving before 21 comes out, because no one gives a shit about 21. So that's a good way to keep people engaged and at the show. He also walked out Meek Mill, which is pretty cool. I thought they were still beefing. I guess they're not beefing anymore. Lil Yachty was the opener for our show. I don't like Lil Yachty. Again, I don't care for that style of rap and hip hop. But I could see why people like him. I mean, he's not really relevant anymore, in my opinion. He's on some podcasts and some stuff like that, but I don't think it's good. He's got like the 2 songs. He's got like I Spy and Broccoli, and literally they didn't announce him. He just kind of started. It was very weird the way they set him up, or the lack thereof. He went out, he was doing a couple of songs or whatever, and everyone was like, "Oh, there's somebody on the stage." Like, it was very bizarre. So we're all getting drinks and stuff, and then people were just kind of, it was like 30% full, 25% full, the stadium when Lil Yachty went out, and I'm like, this is sad. Like, no one's here to watch this guy. Cool and all, but it was kind of weak, and I didn't really need that. Again, when Drake went out, his first like set, those first 15 songs I mentioned earlier, he did one chorus or one verse, or a combination of a chorus and a verse, and he would just blast through it, and he wouldn't really linger on the songs. Like, I want to hear the song. Like, just play the song. If you've been to any normal concert, I think they do this a lot in hip hop concerts. They just kind of like rock it through their catalog and call it a day so they can get out. But like, dude, I paid all this money for your show. I'm a lifelong freaking fan. I bought Take Care, like, when it was a physical CD. Like, can you help me out a little bit here? Like, this is ridiculous. Play the songs. Like, I don't think it's a crazy request. I was getting ripped on TikTok and Instagram for not. They're like, oh, that's how they do it. And I'm like, it shouldn't be how they do it. This is ridiculous. It makes me upset. Like, I want to hear, like, Marvin's was an instant classic banger for me. I want to hear the whole song. Like, play the song, man. Enough's enough. Oh, here's another thing is, I'm a Drake fan, clearly. Like, that's why I did this podcast. That's why I'm putting some time and effort into doing this. And for me, it was a big deal to go to this concert. And here's the thing. People that go to concerts now, I think there's a certain kind of like, it's the hip thing to do, is to go to the concert. I think that's a lot of the people for when he played the Apollo. He played a dynamite set at the Apollo before this tour happened. And I wish I was there, because he played an amazing throwback set. Like, that was the perfect set he played at the Apollo. So I wish I was there for that. But then you just see a sea of people holding up their phones, and the Apollo is small. It only holds like 1,200 people, but like, no one's singing to the songs. No one's like going crazy for it. Like, it was weird. It was very weird. So I think people go to shows sometimes just because they think they should be going to shows, you know, or they think they should go to a concert because it's the hot thing, it's on social media, whatever, and they're not really fans. If I had to like put a number to it based on everybody that I saw at this concert, I would say like over 90% of these people really weren't Drake fans. They're like popular music fans, or they like hip hop, but they like going to concerts. Nobody was wearing merch. I was wearing vintage merch. I saw one other guy with a Scorpion t-shirt on, which is like, I guess at this point, 6 years ago was vintage for it. And like nobody was into it. It was very weird. Like I was standing up the entire show. I'm screaming. I was like hoarse the next day. I was like sweating. I'm crying. I'm doing all these things. I'm going through all these emotions, and like nobody's into it. It was so weird, except like the party bangers. People were like getting a little rowdy, but it didn't really pop off. And then, you know, I think they do it as like a social, people go to this stuff as like a social thing to do, and not so much to enjoy the music for the artist. It's very weird. It was a very bizarre feeling being in that arena with everybody, especially in the old song set, my prime time for the show. A lot of people I don't think knew that music. It was really weird. I was like singing my heart out, and like everybody in the section around us and on the whole bridge, nobody was really singing. It was a very weird phenomenon, to say the least. Everyone's got their phone out. I hate people who let phones out at shows. Like, you're at the show, be at the show. Like, you don't need to record it. You don't need to put it on Instagram. You don't need to blast it out everywhere. Like, I took one clip the entire show, and that's the one I put on the Instagram the other day. Enjoy the show. Be where you're at. There doesn't need to be a sea of camera phones out there doing the show. Like, it's okay. Like, you can be where you are and enjoy it. So that's a big pet peeve of mine, truthfully. Just weird atmosphere, weird crowd. Could have just been my show, but and obviously I'm kind of like a diehard, so I guess I'm being a little critical. But at the end of the day, know the music, know the artist, be there for the right reasons. Otherwise, why are you gonna waste your money? Like, it drives me crazy. The merch was awful. I wish I took a picture of the merch spread because it was not good at all. There was maybe like 12 or 15 shirts you could choose from. There was a lot. I was like blown away. And there was only one worth getting, and it had like had the OVO owl, and then said It's All a Blur on it. The rest of them had like the Her Loss cover, the Honestly Nevermind cover, all these things. I'm like, I don't care about any of this stuff. This looks terrible. So it was cool to have one with the OVO owl on it, because he doesn't have that out that much anymore. So we picked up a couple of shirts. They're $50 a piece, which is crazy. I mean, I already spent all this money to get into this show. Now I got to pay for this merch. It was ridiculous. So, but the shirt looks good, worth it, especially because I was at the show. So why not pick up some merch? So all the visuals were very weird. Like during the songs and everything, it was good. It was really during the interludes it was very odd. You know, everyone's seen the Virgil statue with the paper plane that gets remote controlled through. He's got he changes into like a butcher apron and like the Scream mask stuff that flies around, and then during Child's Play, right before the bullshit DJ set, there was it was like a sperm light show. It was like cum, like on the stage. There was just like a whole bunch of sperms, like 100 of them, just floating around on the digital part of the stage. And then he had a giant sperm like flying through the air, like on a remote control or whatever, or on a line. And it's just like, it's giant, like literally the size of this room must have been. There's just like a big giant sperm. I'm like, what is this? Like, why are we doing it? I get it. It was during Child's Play. I guess it was trying to be like a witty kind of play on words or something. I don't know what the deal was, but it was weird and it was distracting. It was a giant flying Peter Pan, like the size of like 10 cars or something. It was huge, and it's just like floating around. I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, this is so distracting. It's a weird thing for the show. Can't you just like play the music? It's just weird. I didn't like it. That's all. So at the end of the front half, let's call it, before I left, it was Controlla, Too Good, Find Your Love, Fountains, Work, One Dance, Calling My Name. So I have it here. It says bullshit DJ set, 'cause that's exactly what it was. He like takes a break, he like walks out to where the DJs are hanging out, and he like eats an Uncrustable, and they like run this like beat through everything that kind of links it all together, and then they just run through it, and he like just deep throats Uncrustables, and then half sings the songs, and then he breaks into like a break, which was really weird. I'm like, these are good songs, and you fucked them up for me. Like, I wanted to hear those ones in their entirety, and you made them sound like crap. That's another thing he does when he does all the songs, is he sings them out of tempo. He sings them more than he raps them. It's like he doesn't do it. Like, have you ever seen the Counting Crows perform? They do this stuff where they are Harry Styles. Like some of these guys, they'll do them as they weren't recorded. And I get it. You're trying to give it like its individuality or whatever, and that's fine. But it's hard to sing along to. So I like the stuff when it's in proper beat, it's in proper tempo. It's done more or less the way it's recorded. So he did that the whole show, and that really bothered me for whatever reason. And that was like the last stretch of good songs too. So I'm like, you didn't give me enough on the front end, and then you chooched me on these last 6 songs on the back end. I'm like, I was so pissed by the time we left. I'm like, let's go get some merch and get out of here. Like it was so stupid. And I didn't stay for when Legend came on, but in general, I think it's just a weak closing song. Like I think he could have like either rocked the house with like Miss Me or something fun, and then everybody leaves, or just something different. I think it's to end on a slow song like that after you do a whole set with 21. I think it's a strange choice. And then this is gonna be my last point here before I wrap up. It's the whole 21 bit, right? The whole 21 set. Right, so he does 12 songs by himself, which is so much. I think that's ridiculous. If you're going to promote a joint album, that's fine. The way it was set up, 12 songs for Savage, and they do 5 songs together, and then he does Legend by himself. And I'm like, all right, this is how you make this actually work, because this doesn't work. You give Savage 3 or 4 songs. He can do those by himself, whatever, that's fine. Let them do the 4 or 5 songs. Let's cut that down to 4, where they do them together off their joint album that they're promoting. So that's like 7 or 8 songs you get right there. And then let Drake close out with a banger set. Give him like another 7 songs of just Drake, do half a Take Care for Me, and then we call it a day. Or something like that. Or you play some So Far Gone or whatever, so that you can wrap up the show properly. Like there's nothing here. If you're not a 21 Savage fan, which I think a lot of people aren't, which I think is a fair thing, because 21 Savage is such a specific sounding rapper. And he's way different than Drake's style, so it's hard to like both at the end of the day. So I think it's kind of a big ask for people to get on board with a joint 21 Savage album. So I think that's a decent way where you could fix that set list, and you could fix this terrible lineup. It's like almost good. That's the heartbreak about this set list. It's like it could be a good set list. They just fucked it up. There's no really better way to say it. It had a lot of potential. It's awkward. It breaks up terribly. In between, on the front end, in between, they break out into Way Too Sexy, Back Outside Boys, Jumbotron, Ship Hoppin', and Laugh Now, Cry Later. And I can do without all those for me personally, because I just don't like them. And then it dips back into God's Plan, into our our Sperm Light Show, God's Plan, Child's Play, Wait for You, In My Feelings, and then it breaks out to Bullshit DJ Set. So like it could have been good. I mean, they really fumbled the bag with this, and I think this could have been a legendary kind of tour if they did it right. And in my opinion, they just didn't. They had everything in place. The marketing was good. The promotions and everything, they did a great job. And obviously that's why it's a successful tour. But at the end of the day, I think they just didn't. They didn't have the right fan in mind. I mean, they're one of Drake's big problems right now is he's trying to be as relevant as possible. I mean, he dropped 3 projects in 3 years, which is really not his style. He usually takes like a year and a half, almost 2 years in his prime. His prime being probably like when Views and More Life came out. I think he really peaked there socially. I think his best work is So Far Gone to Nothing Was the Same, but those projects were still good. Views and More Life were both so good. Now I think he's just trying to ride the wave and stay relevant with a artist like 21 Savage, and I think he's neglecting his real core of fans at this point, which is depressing. So I think we'll see. You see, new album's coming out in about 2 weeks. I'll do a live listen and review in real time for that. We'll get a good shake of where we're at. I hope he says it's some of the old Drake shit. I'm hoping it's like Take Care Part 2 or Nothing Was the Same Part 2. Like, give me some of that, some bangers that I can vibe with immediately. Radio play, party songs, something I want to cry to, a couple of those, and then we'll be good. Like, keep it simple, dude. Go back to your roots, because that's how you made your name. I know music's changing, but you made your name in a different era. Maybe if you come back to that, you can find some more success with it. It's hard. It's hard. We'll talk about this in another pod, but it's so hard when artists are successful, because they change so much, because they're not hungry anymore. They lose their drive. They don't have the same life experiences. Like, he's a bajillionaire with a private jet, and he's gambling and all this stuff. So he's so far away from what he was that it's hard to make music from what he was, because he's not that anymore. So his music reflects the changes in his own life. So, all we can do is cross our fingers and hope for the best with the next album. The tour, it's all right. I mean, people that are going, people are like, oh, should I not go? Blah, blah, blah. This show's fine. Go, enjoy it, have some drinks, enjoy yourself if you can, if you're of age. And just do it. It's still a good experience. You could say you went to a Drake show. He hasn't been on tour in 6 years, like I said. So these don't come along all that often. So if you can get the money, go and do it, but it could be better. And that's it for me, guys. I'll catch you on the next episode. Club Paradise Podcast. See you later.